call it a lockdown. They call it an occupation. There were lanes open. The police were shutting down more lanes than the truckers.
Yes, in fact, they were. And there's one incident I was asked by the police to go confirm that we were not blocking an intersection. And when I arrived, there was heavy equipment, 2 concrete barriers, and 5 police officers standing there, blocking the intersection, not us.
Now, sitting next to me is Tom Marazzo, who is a witness here. Now, Tom, I just want to ask you a question before we get started, because I'm nervous now, because Tamara Leach has bail conditions on her that are extremely onerous, and there is an insane, out-of-control prosecutor in this town, and I want to make sure that I know any restrictions on you so I don't inadvertently get you or me in a pickle. Do you have any bail conditions that I need to know about?
I do not have any bail conditions.
Okay, good. Now I relax a bit. I don't want to go to the clink. So what are you charged with, if you don't mind?
I actually haven't been charged that I'm aware of, or there's no charge pending. There's no charges pending.
Forgive me for being overly cautious here. I just don't want. I mean, remember what happened when Tamara Leach was thrown in jail a second time? Absolutely outrageous. But the other side is not dealing with us in good faith.
Right.
Sorry. Okay. Thanks for letting me clear that up. Tell me a little bit about your plans to testify. How were you called as a witness? Did the commission call you? Were you suggested by counsel? How did you come to be one of the? Like, I'm sure hundreds of people would like to testify. How did you get on the list?
I believe that Keith Wilson and Eva had put together the application in the early days when the commission was looking for witnesses to come forward. And my name was one of the ones that was put forward, and it was accepted by Justice Rouleau and I guess the government team, and that's how I got on the list. And it's interesting to me that there are so few of us that are actually participating in this. I'm quite surprised by how small the people that I worked with during the convoy, how small that list actually is.
So that's your standing, is you were helping to organize the convoy or to interlocute between the convoy and the police. That was one of the things you were doing, right? You were a go-between, like a human ambassador bridge, if I may, between the truckers and the police, right?
Yeah, there was my role did actually evolve over time. When I first got there, I was more focused on the logistical aspects of making sure that it was safe and responsible. We had safety lanes open to the public and emergency services.
That's the point that most people don't know. They call it a lockdown. They call it an occupation. There were lanes open. The police were shutting down more lanes than the truckers.
Yes, in fact, they were. And there's one incident I was asked by the police to go confirm that we were not blocking an intersection. And when I arrived, there was heavy equipment, 2 concrete barriers, and 5 police officers standing there, blocking the intersection, not us.
I believe it. So, you've got to prepare, let me guess, you have a prepared statement, you're going to read it, and then your lawyer will ask you questions, and then you'll be open to cross-examination. Is that how it goes? Is it like a trial that way? Like, have you prepared a commentary?
I've had many discussions with the legal team, but how the actual steps will unfold once I do get called to testify, I'm not entirely sure of how that's going to go, because none of the witnesses have actually testified yet, so I don't really know what that
it's not really a trial, but it's sort of like, there's witnesses before a parliamentary committee. That's what I was thinking. Those are often, you make a statement, then you take questions. But there's so many lawyers. I mean, we heard there's almost 80 lawyers there, each one wanting to take a shot at you.
Yeah, and I don't even know if there would be time for me to do an opening statement of any kind. I think I'm going to be too open to too many lawyers from too many different groups to consume that much time, I suppose.
Now, are you there representing a group of people? Like, do you have any official status? Or are you there in your personal capacity?
Well, I was summoned to appear and to make myself available in Ottawa in person for the entire duration of the.
Is this going to be in person, or some of them appearing by remote, like by Zoom or something?
That is yet to be determined.
Sure, because I don't questions. I'm just so curious
because I don't believe that the witness list has actually been finalized.
Right, that's what
it's still also a draft, a working draft. Yes.
All right. Well, very interesting. I'm going to bring my friend Sheila Gunn-Reid in. She's our chief reporter and the big boss in Northern Alberta. Sheila, what questions do you have for Tom Marazzo, who's Are you a witness tomorrow?
No, I don't believe I am.
No, not tomorrow. Okay, I was getting excited there for a second. Sheila, go ahead.
Well, Ezra, you just stole my question. Are you a witness tomorrow? But are you? Thanks. But also, Tom, are you able to sit in the room when other people are testifying, or are they keeping you outside like they do at the normal courtroom?
I sat in on the first day today inside the hearing room because it was open to the public. So I was sitting there in the audience. In fact, the back 4 rows were completely empty.
Wow.
So I originally believed that I would need to get credentials to get into the room, but it turns out there was no need for me to get credentials. Keith arranged for me to come to the room, and I didn't have to go in with credentials, but I think Keith worked his magic as usual.
Anything else, Sheila, for Tom Marazzo?
Tom, was there anything today that you heard in the opening statements and the presentation of reports? Anything that stuck out to you, that surprised you or shocked you, or maybe you were just sort of blindsided by the honesty as Alan Honor was by the OPP?
That's a great question, because there were a couple of things that really did surprise me. And the biggest surprise to me was, it was my understanding that this inquiry was about examining the actions of the federal government and the decisions that Justin Trudeau had made to invoke the Emergency Act. But what I found particularly interesting was all of the law enforcement agencies actually were taking ownership of the invocation of the Emergency Act, which I found really kind of also strange. From the in previous commissions, they testified saying they never asked for it, but it would appear to me that their demeanor was that they were almost in defense of the government and are taking some sort of a position of ownership over the invocation of the Emergency Act, even though they say they never asked for it. And so I found that to be a little bit, disturbing, because I thought it was the government that was there to be examined for their decisions in invoking the Emergency Act, not law enforcement agencies across this country.
Well, we're just at the very beginning of what's going to be an interesting and intensive 6 weeks. I understand that they might even do a very non-Ottawa, non-government-y thing and even meet on Saturdays. Like to go 6 days a week, that's astonishing to me. That's just, we're in a place that thinks passport offices can work from home and have a 6-month delay. Like that's normal in Ottawa. To find someone who's willing to work 6 days a week is so upside. It's like Costanza.
Find someone to work
day.
After 3. Find someone to work after 30.
Very interesting. I sure hope this judge lives up to the public interest and the public duty. I know people point out that he's a Liberal donor and a Liberal appointee and things like that. And I want to brush that aside. Part of me wants to think, okay, you know what? It's not shocking that a judge in Ottawa is a Liberal, given how judges are appointed. It's just not shocking to me. A lot of judges are Liberal, a lot of lawyers are Liberal. And I really want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt and say, he's not a Liberal anymore. He's not an activist anymore. He's on the bench. This is a serious matter. He's taking it seriously. He's being rigorous. He seems to be even-handed in terms of the witnesses and even granting intervener status to the JCCF and the Democracy Fund. So I really want to hope. I really need to hope, because the courts have been such a shocking disappointment over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. I went to law school, and the Charter of Rights was this holy grail. It's so important part of our identity. And yet the Charter, other than the case of Arthur Pawlowski in Alberta, the Charter has not shut down any lockdown elements in the last 2 years. Our Supreme Court hasn't even weighed in on the subject. Yes. It's like the judges just didn't give a damn. Mm-hmm. And so I really need my faith in the legal system revived. And I hope that this judge does it. But, don't put your trust in princes, as the good book says. Last word to you, Tom. Are you excited about being here? Are you looking forward to this, or are you dreading it?
No, I've actually been looking forward to this every day since I left Ottawa last February.
Yeah.
And, I too am looking for that hope as well. But the one thing that I can say is, regardless of what the government says, what the judge himself says, or the commissioner, my faith is actually in the legal team that is representing the convoy itself.
Oh, good.
And when I'm involved in the conversations with Keith and Eva and Bathsheba and Brendan Miller. He
made some great remarks. We're going to play, Olivia, can I get you to call up Brendan's remarks? We'll play that in a minute. So I know we clipped it earlier. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
But they're brilliant minds that are here doing the work of Canadians that supported the convoy. And there's a lot of talk online where people are saying, this commission is a big farce. It's irrelevant. It's not important. But I disagree. I disagree because this is where the first time since the COVID restrictions that the public is going to get to examine for the first time, I believe, the government's actions against the people of Canada. In the 6 million that chose not to get vaccinated that have a very good grievance, they're going to get to hear their grievances are going to be heard, I think, throughout this entire process. And so I think it is important. And I think this is very much a court of public opinion, if nothing else. There's no punishments. There's I think this is really what it's important for about
airing the facts.
Yeah. And if we want this country to move forward and start to heal from the experiences of COVID, I think this is the starting point.
Well, Tom, those are some very thoughtful and philosophical comments. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're a witness. Stay put for 1 second. We're going to run. Olivia, do we have the clip? Oh, yeah, we do. So you were referring to the legal dream team who was representing, and one of your lawyers made some thoughtful remarks, and we'll play that and we'll call it a commercial, and that'll let you a chance to gracefully move up this chair. Listen, we're still setting up our living room studio here, so give us a break. But I'm kidding around. It's nice to have you on our first day. I'm very pleased with how the live stream is going. More than 2,000 contemporaneous viewers, and we're just getting started. And we're going to be here for 6 weeks. We've got 15 different journalists who are going to rotate through. We're bringing journalists not just from our Toronto office and our Ottawa team, but Kian Simone came all the way from Calgary. Alexa Lavoie is going to come. Of course, she's based in Montreal. Lincoln J. We have so many people who were part of the trucker convoy coverage who know this is an important second part of it. So thanks for joining us. Let's play that video by your lawyer, Brendan Miller, right? That's the name of the lawyer. Let's play it right now. Take a look.
Good morning. My name is Brendan Miller of Foster LLP, and I am counsel to Freedom Corp, which is an organization that represents the protesters of which attended Ottawa in January and February of 2022. My colleague, Ms. Bathsheba Vandenberg of Foster LLP, is my co-counsel on this matter, as well as the solicitors of record, both Mr. Keith Wilson, King's Counsel, as well as Ms. Eva Chipiuk, who is counsel to the convoy. With respect to sort of everyone's given an overview of the theory of their case, it is our view that there was no justification whatsoever to invoke the Emergencies Act. The Emergencies Act requires several things. One, it could be invoked due to espionage and sabotage. Are you going to hear any evidence about espionage and sabotage? The answer to that is no. Two, it could be invoked on the basis of clandestine or deceptive foreign influence, or foreign influence that involves the threat to a person. Are you going to hear evidence about that? The answer to that is no. It also could be invoked on the basis of threats or use of acts of serious violence against persons or property. Are you going to hear evidence of violence against persons or property? The answer is no. Lastly, it can also be invoked if there is a group or persons trying to destroy or overthrow by violence the system of government of Canada. Are you going to hear evidence about individuals trying to do that? The answer is no. And the answer is that there was no reasonable and probable grounds to invoke the Emergencies Act, and that the government exceeded their jurisdiction, both constitutionally and legislatively, in doing so. Thank you.
My point to you is if you want the antidote, the other side of the story, you have to bookmark truckercommission.com. And it is my hope that you find this useful enough to maybe even check in to help us cover the cost of the Airbnb, which I think is about $15,000. I know that's a shocking amount of money, but we are so close to the library and archives, you wouldn't believe it. And it's a big place. There's 4 bedrooms, and it's cheaper, I think, than getting a hotel room and a studio. We're in one of the rooms of the Airbnb. We're going to make it even better. So please do support us at truckercommission.com.